What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live, presented by Bet Online here on a Thursday, December 22nd. We got two games from Picks Against the Spread today. Nothing too fancy, but we'll still pick them. We'll do that at the end of the show, though, as the first game tips off at 5 p.m. And there's still some injuries up in the air, so we're going to wait on that. But first, let me give a quick shout out to our sponsor for that segment, Bet Online. You can use promo code BELIEVE to receive 50% rewards over on Bet Online, as both those spreads later on will be via Bet Online. And there's also a football game today you can get in on the action on. And then this Christmas weekend, we got football on Christmas Eve, 3 football games on Christmas, 5 basketball games on Christmas, lots of sports action for you to get in on with our friends over on Bet Online with that promo code BLEAV for 50% rewards. Eric, how is your Thursday going?
Pretty good. We can tell who didn't watch the show last night because they're amazed by your haircut. So,
yeah, see, that's the test. It's a litmus test to see who. But I appreciate Delusional Blazer fan because I don't know if anybody complimented it last night. Instead, a dude said I had a fight with my barber or something because people love to troll me about my hair. So I graciously accept your compliment. Appreciate it. But definitely, give the post-game shows when we lose a chance, because some people find them more entertaining than when we win and enjoy them more when me and you are miserable, Eric, because the team lost, and then we rant, and people love that. So, definitely give the losses a chance. I know some people don't, but we try and do our best, and it sucks for us too. But, we're moving on. Got a game tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about it.
As Joey says in chat was wild last night.
Chat was wild, yeah. In losses, chat is it's entertaining. It's like a different form of entertainment. It's almost a different genre of post-game show. Things have been completely off the rails lately on post-game shows. So it's kind of nice to be streaming here on the second channel. This is where I'm happy I created the second channel, Eric, because I feel like I can come on here. There's less people. We can chill. We can talk about just random, topics, NBA stuff we'll get into today. And it's refreshing because the post-game shows have been wild. Shout out Carter Dick with the $2 dono, says looking fresh. Tori, thank you, Carter. Appreciate it. Taylor thinks I should go with a mohawk one of these days. Taylor, no. I don't have the attire to make it work, I don't have the chains on the black jeans or anything like that. But yeah, now I don't have to wear a hat on stream for the next 2 weeks, and then I'll be back to wearing a hat for like 4 months after that, the rest of the season. So anyway, so we're going to get into GP2, Eric. We're going to get into some talk about the Phoenix Suns. We're going to get into some talk about the Atlanta Hawks with Trae Young, as there's some rumors swirling around them. And we'll take a few questions, and that's going to be our stream today.
Yeah, we'll also have Brant's breakdown since we didn't do it last night. I really want to talk about some of the things that happened on defense and add to our Drew Eubanks thread, or your Drew Eubanks thread, with a play that absolutely disgusted me last night.
Dang, that's crazy, because I thought he played better last night.
He did.
He
did, but there was one particular play that I noticed him on, and I have to show you guys.
Yeah, he's just so hit or miss. Like, it's crazy, but I'm looking forward to that. So we got Brand's breakdowns on Blazers Uprise Live. I also threw the bottom ticker down here. It'd be cool to be able to get the spread on this bottom ticker. I'll have to ask I'll have to ask Nick if he can put the spread somehow from Bet Online on this bottom ticker instead of 5 p.m., 6 p.m., maybe put the spread in the middle. Or instead of where the score is, he could put the spread. That would be cool. That would be cool for Blazers Uprise Live. But we only got, a game tomorrow, 2 days off, then a game, Monday. Then 3 days off, then a game, then 2 days off. So that'll be nice. Not much action. I will try and introduce a couple little things to post-game streams. I want to do an intro. I've been meaning to do an intro. I want to do one before the start of the regular season. Just everything else getting, it wasn't as crucial to get ready as the graphics and the coding and all that sort of stuff. So gonna try and get an intro video because I want to do an intro into post-game shows, which would be fun. So I'm kind of scheming that up right now and a couple other things for you guys. But after this layoff, the Blazers start things back up in January on the 2nd against the Pistons. And if you want to watch that game with us live, check out our watch party. That's an in-person watch party. It's not a stream. It's in person. You could come join me, Eric, for a live watch party and a live post-game show at Alberta Abbey in Northeast Portland. That game will tip off at 7. Doors open at 6. You can get your tickets by using the link in the description box below. We would love to see you there. Just go to where it says Watch Party Tickets in all caps and use that link. And if you are a channel member on the main channel, go over to the community tab and I have discount codes for you. Or if you can't figure out how to find the community tab, just ask me, on Twitter or on Discord or something like that. So hopefully we will see you guys there. Would love to meet some of you in person. I'm trying to cultivate the community a little bit more is what I'm doing. So that's a great way to do it. Come chill with us, watch us rage as we lose to the Pistons by 25. No, just kidding. I wanted to pick a game that gave people a positive experience. I figured the Pistons would be one.
Yeah, hopefully.
No Cade Cunningham rest of the season, but Bojan Bogdanovic is an all-star comparable to Dirk and Kevin Garnett, according to his coach, Dwayne Casey. So who knows? Maybe he'll destroy us, but yeah, definitely check out that link and check out the Discord. That's the other place I'm trying to cultivate the community. Anyway, Eric, I'll give you the floor. What do you want to start off with?
Let's start off with GP2.
Okay.
So yeah, there was I don't even know who had this today, but was it Mark Stein?
Was it? I think it was Chris Haynes.
Chris Haynes. Give me just a second.
All right. One. That was a second. Okay. Was just about to ask why you chose the Pistons. Cyclone, I wanted people to have a positive experience. Anyway, we'll take a few questions later, though.
But anyways,
I'm pretty sure it was Chris Haynes.
Chris Haynes had that report. Yeah, so it just said that they expect Gary Payton II to return next week. For those of you that have been watching this show or who follow my Twitter, I've been saying that for a while now, that they're targeting the 26th. As far as I know, that is still the plan for him to play on Monday against the Hornets.
Yeah, because I think that's a great game for him to return. It's a home game, which will be fun. The only home game for the rest of December. The next home game is that watch party on the 2nd. But then you got 3 days of rest after that, which will be nice. And then the very next game is him returning to Golden State. So I think it's a perfect time for him to return on Monday. And just see how he reacts over the following 3 days. And, if he's like a little bit sore, maybe he misses the Golden State game, but that's only one game in 6 days. So, it kind of gives him a little bit of leeway to manage it compared to throwing him back in a stretch where you're playing 3 games in 4 days or something like that. So I like it.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. It's similar to we had a couple days off after a game that Dame was targeting returning, and so we let him play, and then he had a couple days off and was still feeling good, so they got him back to full speed. So yeah, I think that's a good strategy, is have him play in a game where you have multiple days off afterwards, and you can see how it responds to playing in the game, and hopefully it's not too sore afterwards.
Yep, absolutely. As far as him coming back and helping this team, he'll definitely help it defensively. Offensively, if he's stuck playing with the bench unit too much, I kind of worry about how that will function because he's not a shot creator, and that's kind of what the bench needs right now. They have been staggering Ant and Josh Hart some with the bench lineup. The problem is those guys don't have enough space to do what they do best, so it'll be interesting to see how the bench evolves over the next couple months leading up to the trade deadline, which I said a couple months, Eric. The trade deadline's in a month and a half.
Yeah.
That's awfully close. It kind of snuck up on us here, so we'll talk more trades talks too over the next. Starting soon because it's closer than I thought. It doesn't really feel real.
Yeah, I think it's like 7 weeks away.
Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah, Keith Smith had an article today. Yeah, 7 weeks from today, he listed about 15 players that he is keeping an eye on by February 9th.
Anyone on our team?
Well, I'll just go through it. So it's Jay Crowder, John Collins, Eric Gordon, James Wiseman, a bunch of players from the Knicks, Fournier, Derrick Rose, Cam Reddish, a couple players from Detroit, Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel, Danny Green's expiring contract from Memphis, Terrence Ross, Matisse Thybulle, Kyle Kuzma, Nikola Vucevic, Jakob Poeltl, Duncan Robinson, Robert Covington, and Seth Curry.
I wouldn't hate having Rocco as the backup 4. Not saying it's feasible contract-wise. Right. It's just funny because, like,
that'd be hilarious.
Given our bench situation, just somebody that can knock down threes occasionally and play some off-ball defense.
Yeah,
I actually wouldn't hate him as the backup 4.
So, a lot of those players, including Kuzma, who can opt out, but so like Thybulle's expiring, Vucevic expiring, Poeltl expiring, Seth Curry's an expiring contract, Danny Green, Nerlens Noel, I believe, is expiring. Oh, he's got a team option, I think, next year. Derrick Rose is expiring. Cam Reddish is expiring. Yeah, so there's a lot of players. Jay Crowder's expiring. So that's most of them is just expiring contracts. But then there's, the bad contracts like Duncan Robinson and Evan Fournier and stuff that those teams would love to get rid of.
Yeah.
And speaking of Jay Crowder, it came out today that allegedly the Suns were offered a package centered around Rui Hachimura from the Washington Wizards, which they declined. What do you think about that, Tori?
I don't believe that's true, because if that's true, then Washington is dumb as hell. Which we already kind of know they're dumb as hell, but that they're really dumb. They're like, what? I wouldn't trade Rui for Jay Crowder straight up. If Phoenix got offered that and they said no, I think that's a mistake. But the only reason why Phoenix could have a case for saying no is they are waiting for somebody to become available.
That's exactly what's happening. So they have several trades like this one that will most likely be there any point between now and the deadline. And if you have been paying close attention, you might know another one, and that's as much as I'm going to say about that. But so the thing for them, though, is they have these little trades that they have agreed to in principle, but if they trade all their players like Jay Crowder, Dario Saric, I think, is on an expiring deal. They'd love to get rid of Shamit's contract probably, but not a lot of teams want that contract. And then someone like Cam Johnson, who is in the same situation as Rui. So they're already worried about paying him. And so they're in a situation where if they bring in Rui, who is also an expiring contract, will be a restricted free agent. So now you'd have to worry about paying both of them. I think it's a case where, one, they much rather have Kyle Kuzma if they were going to get someone from Washington, just a more established player at this point. But I think for them, they still believe that they have a shot. Say Pascal Siakam becomes available, or Kevin Durant, or someone like that going big game hunting. And if they make a bunch of little trades and trade like a $10 million contract of Crowder and the pieces coming back in aren't combinable in a trade, it makes it very difficult for them to offer multiple firsts and get enough contracts together to get someone, because then you're talking about having to trade like Mikal Bridges in addition to those pieces. Whereas right now, they can match a lot of max contracts if you just include like Cam, Crowder, Saric, and like a couple other, like either Shamit or Campaign or someone like that. So that's enough money to get them in the conversation for those players contract wise. Or like John Collins makes what, 20 some million. So like they kind of need Crowder's contract if they're going to go after someone like that. So trading that contract for Rui right now, like it makes sense on paper. Like it seems like a good trade. Like why are they turning it down? But like they really have someone better or bigger in mind, and it kind of would hurt their chances of getting that if they do that.
Yeah, which makes sense. The more I think about it, dude, there's so many targets that could make sense for them. It's kind of scary, and it's kind of unfortunate. Siakam is perfect for them.
Dude, they could offer 4 first and pick swaps.
Yeah.
Well, Aiden, they can't trade until the 15th, but they could offer basically expirings Cam Johnson and 4 first with 3 pick swaps.
For Siakam.
And Siakam would, I think that makes them a championship contender if they got Siakam without giving up one of their top 4.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're at this point, you're basically throwing Siakam into that lineup. They need more shot creation. They could use like a defensive power. Oh God, take some of the pressure, playmaking pressure off of Chris Paul. Oh my goodness, man! Like I would.
Yeah, the only
dude, if they are the clear cut easily favorites in the West if they get Siakam for without giving up Ayton. I'm actually scared about that happening. But like you think about it, who are the players that are available? Siakam, power forward, right? They need a power forward.
Oh, technically Siakam's
Collins
not available, but
that hypothetically available, like Siakam, John Collins, power forward. Okay, who's the other big name that's been talked about that I teased in the intro? Trae Young. I wouldn't be surprised if they go after Trae Young to be like their long-term starting point guard, because Chris Paul's up there in age. He's taken a step back this season. I mean, they need to solve their point guard spot long-term. And we could sit here and debate about whether or not Trae Young's the best fit next to Devin Booker, because Trae Young can't guard anything, and defensively that team would be really rough. And I don't know how Trae Young would function next to Devin Booker because Trae Young's so ball dominant. So there's a ton of question marks about whether that's a cohesive fit. Obviously, it's a super talented backcourt, but I don't know if it's a cohesive fit. And Trae Young, like, we could talk a little bit about him, later or right now. But he basically, the thing is the coach doesn't like him, which is Nate McMillan. He doesn't like the coach, but the third thing that matters is teammates supposedly don't like Trae Young. So it'd be one thing if it was just like the coach and player don't like each other. Okay, well, you just fire the coach and bring somebody else new in. But apparently players on that roster don't like Trae Young. It seems like Trae Young is not a good leader for a franchise. Is Devin Booker a good leader for a franchise? Like, he's brought that team to success. He's obviously the best player on the Suns, but Chris Paul's kind of the vet leader there. I don't know how it would function. You already have turmoil in Phoenix, so Trae Young would be interesting because they could win a championship with that, or it could completely backfire for a number of reasons. Defense, locker room, can he play next to Devin Booker and both those guys still be themselves? There's a lot of questions with that sort of fit, but Trae Young could be a guy that they go after as well. So I think in the end, Phoenix will land somebody big, and that's why they're saying no to this trade. Because Siakam, John Collins, Trae Young all make sense as potential targets for him.
Yeah, and I mean the Wizards, like I said, Kuzma, I think fits them a little better than Rui right now if they're just talking about winning this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
You also have
Like
to pay
Kuzma.
Kuzma though.
Kuzma's just he's good. He's good. He's improved a lot since he left LA. I don't know, man. There's something about Kuzma I don't like, and I don't even know what it is. I know he won a championship with LeBron in the bubble and all that, but I don't know. He's a third guy that thinks he's a number one. That's how I've always viewed him. Maybe that's not fair to him, but I don't know. He could be good in Phoenix for sure. But Rui just I think Rui is better than Jake Crowder is. I think Rui's underrated. I think if you gave Rui a starting spot, he would take off and be like a 15, 16 point per game scorer. Defensively, he has question marks, but he can attack off the dribble, nice mid-range shot, size, agility. Like I'm a Rui fan.
Yeah, it just hasn't seemed to put it all together yet, but it's still young. But it's the problem. It's like that's one of the reasons why I think they were happy to lock up Nasir Little is if you trade for someone like that and they play well, like you're probably going to have to overpay a little bit. If they don't play well, then it's probably not a good trade. So you're kind of, especially a team like Phoenix, like who knows what'll happen under their new ownership once that takes place. But in the past, they've been kind of unwilling to make money moves like that. And so, yeah, guys like Kuzma and Rui, if they have success there, would look at a big contract next year. We already have Cam Johnson turning down. It was reported to be 66 to 72 million over 4 years. So
I wonder if he'd take that now.
I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking that with the injury. He bet on himself, and unfortunately, when you get hurt, that's one of the reasons why Nas also took that contract because he knows he hasn't had the best luck when it comes to injuries, and now he's injured for half the season, and yeah, so he's probably thankful that he did take that contract now instead of bet on himself. But I'm not sure what Cam's thinking in terms of that. It said he was going to be out 1 to 2 months back when he had a surgery in November. So he's could be looking to play here in a few weeks again. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when he comes back.
Yep. Since we're on the Phoenix Suns, Alex Wolf says, dude, what if Sarver buys the Blazers? Alex, there is a more likely chance that the NBA decides to play games on Mars than that happens.
Yeah, the NBA. So what happened was the NBA came out and it looked like they went super soft on Sarver and were allowing or enabling, racism and that kind of stuff, sexism within an organization. But they didn't have the grounds to completely take away the team based on legal precedences. And but the thing is, it doesn't really matter if you can get them to sell the team without having to take them to court over it and have them end up suing you. So I think the NBA played it perfectly. It looks bad that they didn't punish him more, but the threat of public humiliation and the pressure from the public to sell the team became too much for Sarver, and he pretty much had no choice but to sell it. Hopefully the same thing happens with Merritt Paulson here with the Timbers, but and maybe Jody Allen for different reasons. But the thing is, they will not allow him to own another team. It's one thing to not punish him, but in terms of them, the owners voting for him to repurchase a team, they will all say no. There's zero chance of that ever happening, no matter what he does to redeem himself or, improve his, character in the future. It's just not happening. There's only 30 NBA teams, and they can afford to be choosy with who they pick for that kind of stuff.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, trade market's going to be interesting. Atlanta's a team to watch. Toronto's a team to watch. Chicago's a team to watch. I think those are the top 3 teams to watch, Eric, because Toronto, you got Siakam, Van Vliet, OG. It'll be interesting to see what direction they choose. They need to choose a direction. Atlanta, Trae Young, John Collins are the 2 big names there. And then in Chicago, you got DeRozan, you got Zach LaVine, Vucevic, if they go the rebuild route. Caruso's a solid role player. So those are the top 3 teams to watch in terms of sellers. Am I forgetting anybody that I should include in that group? Chat can let me know too if I'm forgetting anybody that should be included.
I don't think so. In the East, or are you talking about anywhere?
Anywhere.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what San Antonio does with some of their vets.
Yeah, but they don't got like a star available, you know what I mean?
I mean, Pirtle's pretty good. If they
we're talking about Trae Young.
Yeah, I know.
DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and OG Anunoby and Siakam. So Pirtle's good, but like those are the 3 teams to watch for sure because they got stars available and potential, or they might have stars available and they might also have role players available. Those 3 teams might go fire sale mode. Like if you're Atlanta and Trae Young asks out, I don't think that's not something that you should play hardball over. Because how are you going to get to contention? Because that team isn't going to contend.
What team are you talking about? Who? I'm sorry.
Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Atlanta. Yeah. Like, you traded all these picks for DeJounte Murray. Were they unprotected at all?
I think they were.
Were they? Well, they're just screwed then. I mean, the more I look at that DeJounte Murray trade, the more I don't like it. Because I talked about it, like, both those guys are kind of ball dominant, like high assist guys, and it's not the best fit in the backcourt. Maybe they can go on a run. They've had injury issues, but I don't think Trae Young can lead a team to a championship. He's such a terrible defender. Like, people give Dame crap, but Dame's a much better defender than Trae Young is. Trae Young is awful defensively. And he doesn't lead. He's not a leader. I've never thought of him as a leader, but everything that's come out, he doesn't like the coach. The coach doesn't like him. His teammates don't like him. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, he's skilled, but he's super ball dominant and doesn't seem like he really knows how to play next to other stars, and he's not, you know, as good as Luka, where he could maybe lead a team on a run by himself. Right? So that's the problem. So if their picks weren't unprotected, I'd say screw it. Just trade him, trade DeJounte Murray, trade John Collins, start a rebuild. And take your picks and run into the future, tank for Wemby, that sort of thing. But with their picks in the future being unprotected, if they are unprotected, it obviously makes that a lot harder.
Yeah, so man, this is Real GM changed the way they formatted it, and it makes this so much more confusing. The 2027 first is definitely unprotected. The pick swap in 2026 is also unprotected. They also threw in that Atlanta had a Charlotte first. That's if Charlotte finishes 17th through 30th, it would convey this year, so that's not going to happen. And it's lottery protected the next 2 years and then turns into something else later. I don't know. It looks like just one unprotected and then one unprotected pick swap and then protected one. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Atlanta's screwed, in my opinion.
Well, the thing about Trae Young was that they brought DeJounte Murray in to hopefully take some ball duty, playmaking pressure off of Trae Young, and I guess he's just refused to want to play off ball at all.
So basically, what our guy Gray Hughes says about Dame, he should be saying about Trae Young.
Yep, exactly.
Like, Dame said that's how they'll be most successful, is him playing more off the ball. Dame's embraced it. Because you don't bring DeJounte Murray in for him to play off the ball. He's a career 33% three-point shooter. He's not really a floor spacer. This year he's 35% on the highest volume he's ever shot. So he's overachieving there. But DeJounte Murray doesn't get to the free throw line. He shoots under 50% inside the arc. For his career, he's at 48.5. This year, he's at 49.4. So he's not efficient inside the arc, and it's not like him attacking inside the arc gets him to the free throw line where he converts a bunch of free throws and makes up for it. 20 points per game, 6 assists per game for DeJounte Murray. Like, he kind of needs the ball in his hands. He doesn't play off the ball, but he's not an efficient player. I always thought DeJounte Murray was overrated, Eric. And this is a guy that played at Washington. His highest true shooting percentage of his career was last year at 53.3%. He's always been inefficient. And he put up really impressive numbers last year because he always had the ball in his hands on a bad San Antonio Spurs team. But he's never going to be the lead guy and lead any team to any sort of success. He has to be a number 2 or a number 3. Off the ball, he doesn't fit. He's one of those guys that's like really hard to find a role for him on a winning team because he doesn't play, like DeJounte Murray doesn't play well off the ball, and then he's not super efficient with the ball in his hands. But they bring him in trying to take some of the pressure off Trae Young, and then he refuses to do it, and it's just a completely screwed situation.
Well, that's offensively. Defensively is a completely another story. He's one of the best defenders.
Defensively, he's great, but yeah, that's the thing is, like, you have to... DeJounte Murray is a very high-level role player. I don't think of him as a star.
And they gave up, like, a star package for him.
Yeah, it's the same thing I was saying about Russell Westbrook a couple years ago. Now, I don't think he'll fall off of like Russell Westbrook. He's a lot younger. He's 26 years old, but they gave up a star package for him, and he's not a star, and John Collins is not a star. He's like a very high-level role player, too, and then you got Trae Young and all the problems with him. I would not envy an Atlanta Hawk fan right now at all, whatsoever.
I don't think they have...
Go ahead.
I don't think they have any choice but to basically make everyone else the problem and build around Trae Young still.
Yeah, but that's why I wouldn't balk it, just depending on the protections of their future picks, just starting a rebuild. Just going forward with AJ Griffin and a Kongwu and just start a rebuild.
Yeah. That is a city who... I don't know how many more rebuilds they'll support, you know?
But that's the problem, is like they had that miraculous Eastern Conference Finals run, which was kind of like, it was just very fluky to me. And it was like, oh, well, we've arrived now. Now we just need to get over the final step because we're an Eastern Conference finalist. But it's like, the NBA is getting to the point where there's so much parity that, like, I feel like a bunch of teams can make the conference finals. It's one thing to get there, but like getting over that final hump is almost harder now than it is to maybe make a conference finals. It seems like, you know, like Dallas went on the conference finals run last year. Blazers in 2019 made the conference finals. Dallas looks like a first-round exit at best this year. The Blazers were a first-round exit the year after they made the conference finals. So it's not as much of an achievement as it used to be. Like in the past, it's been you've had like 2 or 3 dominant teams in each conference, and it's like to make the conference finals, you had to be a dominant team. So therefore, it's like, okay, well, we just need to add here and there. Atlanta made the conference finals, and it was surprising. Like they were still kind of in rebuild mode, build around Trae mode. They made the conference finals, and then it's all of a sudden they started viewing themselves as a team trying to get over the hump to contend, much like the Blazers are right now. They shortcut their rebuild in a way. And I'm not sure they really had a choice because they, you know, were a good enough team to be a playoff team. But last year, what they did? They didn't do anything. Didn't make any sort of noise. So then they trade for DeJounte Murray because they're in this mindset of, we just made the conference finals 2 years ago. We got to try and get to contention. So they make this trade for DeJounte Murray, and it's might put them in a situation where they have to restart their rebuild.
They just Go ahead.
Well, and they're still not going to get over the hump and get to contention. They might have to restart their rebuild now, so it's just bad.
Yeah, they just gave DeAndre Hunter an extension, 4 years, $90 million. That is looking pretty bad. So they basically can't trade him this year. There are ways, but it's going to be really hard with how much of a raise he's getting and his contract situation. John Collins, it's weird. They're like in the same situation as the Suns. But like I have a feeling they're going to do the opposite of what you're saying and bring in a veteran like a Jay Crowder, because they think
the Hawks.
Yeah, they think that's what's going to stabilize the team. And those kind of players like Jay Crowder, I'd probably throw in like Josh Hart and Justice Winslow in that too. Like those are Nate McMillan type guys. So if he stays the coach, I could definitely see them just making a play for, a veteran like that to kind of shore up their front court. But both the Suns, like they have Jay Crowder sitting at home and they have Cam Johnson hurt right now. And so they've been playing all year without like a championship level power forward. And then Collins is hurt a lot and in and out of the lineup, and he hasn't been happy with the way they play basketball either. So like both of them are looking to upgrade their forward spots, but they already have quality forwards. So maybe they should just trade them out for each other and see if that works. Like nothing. I don't see the why that couldn't possibly work for both of them.
Yeah, it's just teams that short circuit their rebuilds or shortcut their rebuilds aren't working out, because Minnesota did the same thing. They traded Andrew Wiggins for D'Angelo Russell, and it was like, oh, well, this is a guy that Cat likes, but they should have traded Andrew Wiggins for picks. Or traded Andrew Wiggins for D'Angelo Russell, then traded D'Angelo Russell for picks, make it a 3-team trade. Maybe Cat's not happy, but he was under contract. But instead, it's like they got Anthony Edwards, and they have Cat, right? And both those guys are young enough to still be in a rebuild and build towards the future. They needed another draft pick and another like high-level selection with a draft pick. And then maybe if you hit on another draft pick and find another potential star, that's when you make a Rudy Gobert type trade. And you would have extra assets for that type of trade, because instead of settling on D'Lo, you would have gotten picks for him, or in the Wiggins trade with Golden State. And if they just had a little bit more patience, they could have maybe put together a team that could have contended. And I was high on Minnesota going into this year. I'm not high anymore. It's just not a cohesive enough team. And Cat at the 4, I don't think is going to work. I thought it could, but so I don't even necessarily blame them too much. But the result is they went all in on Rudy Gobert. Now it's like they have no path to really getting better. Anthony Edwards is going to have to become a superstar for them to have any chance of contending, it seems like. And their chemistry is completely off. And part of the reason they made the Gobert trade was they made the 7th seed last year. And it was like, oh, we made the playoffs? We just need to add someone and then we can go on a run. And they shortcut the rebuild. And now they're in a position where they're kind of screwed, just like Atlanta is. So, like, you can go from rebuild to being serious about winning games, but you have to, making that all-in move is trickier than teams, or trickier than fans think. Like, the Cavs were ready to make an all-in move, because they had 3 really good young pieces.
And they didn't give up any of them in the trade.
Yeah, they kept all of them in the trade. Donovan Mitchell was exactly what they needed. They had their 3 pieces they already had cohesively were good enough on both offense and defense to build a core around, right? To be a core, because Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, phenomenal defensively. Those guys are also solid offensively. And then you got Darius Garland coming off an all-star year, was phenomenal offensively. Like, you have enough on both sides of the floor where you added Donovan Mitchell and you're going to be a serious team. The problem is Atlanta didn't have enough defense. They tried to add DeJounte Murray to fix it, but it's hard to just bring in one guy and have him fix issues like that. The thing is, Donovan Mitchell's also cohesive because Garland can play on or off the ball, be the lead guard, be the second guard. The bigs, they're big men. So making the all-in move and timing it right and making it for the right player and having it pan out is extremely tricky, is what Atlanta and Minnesota, I think, have taught us. As well as Cleveland, because Cleveland got it right. So that's my whole take on that. And I like paying attention to those situations because I think you can learn a lot about team building just from what happens. So, the Kings might be an example. Yeah, they traded Halliburton for Sabonis, but Sabonis is young but I don't know. It's like if the Kings end up being an 8th seed, 9th seed, whatever, where are they ever going to go from there? Like, how are they ever going to get to the point where they contend if they're the 8th seed or 9th seed? They're not going to get a high enough draft pick, but they're not going to be good enough with the roster as constructed. They're going to have to trade all their future picks for another star, and if that could end up just like Atlanta did, or just like Minnesota did. They trade all their picks for a star, who knows who it is, but then they're like a 5th, 6th seed at best, and first-round exit. Maybe if they get lucky, they're a second-round exit. And then it's like 5 years down the line, they're sitting there saying, like, wow, we have to go into rebuild again. But for the Kings, they've been out of the playoffs for so long, they're just trying to break the playoff drought, so I kind of understand it a little bit more because they're just desperate to make the playoffs at this point. It's kind of sad. But I could see Sacramento going that way, trending that way. But the thing is like if they didn't trade for Sabonis, they could be trending that way anyway. If they still had Halliburton, because Halliburton's phenomenal. But I was a proponent of they should keep Halliburton, build around Halliburton, and trade De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, but Fox has been good this year.
He's been good, but I'd rather have Halliburton than Fox because I know Halliburton can play next to anyone and be a good fit.
The Aramaizer had the best example of it working almost, and that's the Suns with Chris Paul. They had a really young team and made the move to Chris Paul.
But what they give up for Chris Paul? They barely gave anything up.
Yeah, it was like Oubre, Rubio. It was like a first or two. Yeah, not a lot of value there.
If that backfires, like, okay, what'd you lose out on? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's the thing, is that's not like an all-in move. Like the move for DeJounte Murray or Rudy Gobert because of how much was given up for those two guys. Yeah. But that obviously worked out. The thing is, Phoenix should have just drafted freaking Tyrese Halliburton.
Mm-hmm.
Then they'd be set for the next 8 years. And I was screaming when they were up on the clock, Eric. I'm sure you remember it. I was saying they need to draft Tyrese Halliburton.
I mean, he was 5th on my draft board, and they were sitting there at 10, and they take Jalen Smith, and they don't even pick up his option.
Imagine, like, he's such a... Well, he hasn't been the defensive player that I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be able to be a really good defensive player against both guard spots and have the size to guard both guard spots. But he's better offensively than I thought. But I was just thinking he's a perfect fit next to Book. Because he has size, can play on or off the ball, can be that point guard, but also can is a smart enough player to get Book good shots, get him going, play off of him. And then defensively could guard whoever the best guard is, and you could hide Booker on the worst one. Like, it made perfect sense as a fit. And then they take Jalen Smith, and that was a disaster. They didn't even keep Jalen Smith, and then now Jalen Smith's actually a decent player, and they could use Jalen Smith, but they gave up his option and had to trade him last year. So, yeah, I mean, if they had Chris Paul with Halliburton, perfect third guard,
I'll be right back.
Ready to take over the reins would have been awesome. So, anyway. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with Eric. Kevin Cruz, Sports Clips. They should sponsor me. What else do we have to talk about? Oh, we'll do breakdown. When Eric's back, we'll do breakdown real quick, and then then we'll do picks against the spread. Assuming Eric's breakdown takes 10 to 15 minutes and not longer. How much is a haircut? I'm a barber. Well, I tipped well because, Christmas season. And then I bought product. So in the end, it was like 65. Do I think Cleveland will make any moves? I don't know. The only move that would make sense is for a starting 3, but you guys have no picks because you traded him for Donovan Mitchell. So it's not like you guys have a ton of assets. So I don't think Cleveland will do much of anything, Alex, because what are you guys going to trade? It's not like you guys have the assets to go out there and get OG Anunoby, unless you trade one of your core 4, and that's obviously not going to happen. So what would it be, is my question. It'd probably be an under-the-radar guy maybe, but that's it. All right, Eric, let's do your breakdowns, and then we'll do picks against spread and end this thing.
As we switch back to the Blazers, so the injury report for tomorrow came out for the Blazers.
Okay.
No surprise, Nasir Little out, Gary Payton II out. So that report we heard last night, or someone tried to say it last night, looks like it's not true. So it's setting up for him to play Monday, hopefully. Doubtful is Justice Winslow with that ankle sprain. He had an MRI. Haven't seen the results yet, but I don't think he's going to play. Probable are Eubanks, Hart, Lillard, and Nurkic, just like last game.
Who do you play in Winslow's place against Denver?
I think you just play Watford more, probably. As much as he's... I would like to see more Keon minutes, but yeah.
I want to see more Sharp minutes. Sharp's played great the first half, in my opinion, the last 2 games. Like, he's actually competed defensively, played harder defensively, I thought, made some shots, seems to have his swagger and his confidence back, and then he's barely playing or not playing in the second halves. It makes no freaking sense. I want to see 20 minutes from Sharp tomorrow. 20 minutes, at least. Like, if he, I mean, I guess if he plays terrible in the first half, it could be lower than that, and I'd be fine with it, but he's been playing good the past couple games and has the confidence back. Why would you not play him in the second half when he's playing good in the first half and seemingly has refound his confidence? Doesn't make sense to me at all. So, we'll see. We'll talk about it on that post-game show, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's try and do this in 10 to 15, and then we'll end with picks against the spread.
All right, so I went back and rewatched a lot of the game last night, and just wanted to show...
Wait, let me just say thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah. So, on first watch of it, I somewhat was distracted last night watching, and but I had this feeling like the Blazers had several plays where they actually played really good defense, and someone overhelped when they didn't need to, and that was causing some problems. So this is going to be a bit of a struggle for a while, and if they want to become a good defensive team, is knowing when you should help and when you should not help, if that makes sense. So, like, the instinct here on this first play is going to be for the off-ball corner defender, which in this case is Simons, to be the helper at the rim if someone drives down the middle. But as our defense improves, like last night, we actually did a pretty good job of screen navigation in terms relative to the usual job they do. Still not great, but the problem is when you are expecting someone not to get through a screen and they do get through a screen, which we'll bring up in the next play, it causes problems because then you think you need to help and then you don't. But as we go through this particular play, so we have the first play. So Muscala is going to set a pick here for on Jeremy Grant. And in the second slide, we see that Jeremy Grant gets completely, like, just blobs into the screen and gets completely taken out of the play by Muscala.
I don't know why Grant's hugging him, but that's what we've been talking about.
Yeah, and so Nurk has to switch here onto Jalen Williams, which Nurk actually had to switch a lot more than usual last night. But as we look into the third slide, he does a good job of cutting off. Jalen Williams tries to cut a few times, and Nurk walls him off. And then in the fourth slide, we see that Jalen Williams spins and starts driving towards the basket, right? So now on this play right here, this is what I was talking about. Okay, you have your best interior defender on the ball, still in fairly decent position. At some point, a good defense just has to live with the results of this and not make the possession worse by helping. And just if Jalen Williams misses, good possession. If he makes it, you just tip your cap and move on to the next possession. However, if you have both of your players on the strong side of the ball here, both helping into the paint, that leaves two shooters open. Now, you can make the case maybe that's the game plan. You let Giddey and Dort shoot threes. But this is a case where we're not just talking about this one game. We're talking about the defense as a whole throughout several games. So at this point here, I feel like the Blazers need to adjust and just not help the big man in this situation. If he gets burnt, he gets burnt, but just don't give up an open three. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like shade over, make the guy driving think maybe that you're gonna help, but like Ant, maybe 1 foot in the paint, just close enough to Dort where he can either tip a kick out pass or get there and close out and be there on any sort of shot Dort would shoot. That's the problem. Is if you throw out to Dort, Ant has to sprint so hard, Dort can probably just drive past him, just beat the closeout. Or he's not going to be there in time. So, it's not where you necessarily have to be up and hugging, obviously, but just kind of play in between and make the guy driving think about it. And a lot of really good defenders, what they do here, if they were in Ant's position, they wouldn't be as close. They'd be closer to Dort, but they would like take a jab step towards the ball and then run out towards Dort. They take that jab step to make the guy driving think that you're coming to help. So the read there, if Ant comes to help, is obviously kick out to the quarter. Yeah. So you take that jab step, make them kick the ball out, and you start running as they're passing the ball.
Kind
and
of bait them.
Yeah, bait them. It's called a stunt, and you can maybe pick off that kick out pass, bait them into throwing that kick out pass, then pick it off as you're running back towards the corner. So that's what a lot of good defenders will do. That's what Gary Payton II does really, really well, is he will bait passes and then pick them off. So that's something hopefully we can showcase in some breakdowns once GP2 plays. But yeah, that's basically what you should do, especially against a rookie like this. But yeah, over helping is a problem.
And maybe if Grant and Simons are switched, like we've been talking about all year, like if Grant's the one helping here, then you think, well, maybe he stops a drive and maybe he's long enough to not only get back out and contest a shot, but maybe he can get his hand in the passing lane or something from where he's at. So that's why I like Grant and Ant switched here, because Grant was on ball. Does it really help to have him on ball here? Like he got taken out of the play. Exactly. So as we continue this, so Jalen Williams is just going to kick in the next slide. You see that Ant fully commits, and he wasn't going to stop anything more than Nurk was going to stop, and just leaves his guy wide open. So this is what I'm talking about. Like I'd rather just have Jalen Williams either try to make a tough shot around Nurkic or not have any shot there and have nowhere to pass to, rather than have everyone fall into the paint and suck in like that.
Yeah, and this is made worse by where Hart is, because Hart's supposed to get the first pass out, and he's oh, whoops, why did it switch to that? Yeah. Well, that was strange. But yeah, so Hart here is just like, digging in.
And then in the final slide, you see they both run out the Dort, so he could pass out to Giddey, who's wide open too. If he's not
could cut Giddey
could cut. So I think they just have to let certain players, if they have someone in a one-on-one matchup, let them either win that or not, and then just stop over helping.
All right, play number 2. What we got?
Play number 2, we have an example of really, really good screen navigation. So we're going to see Keon here And Keon gets through this Mike Muscala screen probably cleaner than any screen I've seen the entire season. And you can see in the second slide, he just darts around it, doesn't even get screened off, is still in perfect position. But this is what I was talking about earlier. Nurk is not used to this. So he thinks he has to help here when this is obviously a pick and pop situation for Muscala, who's basically just out there to shoot threes. And so Nurk is going to drop on this, not realizing that Keon is fine. He doesn't need help once again. We just got to take our chances with Keon getting through that. Once you see him through there, you can't be this way. And if it is designed this way to where Nurk is supposed to stay there and help on Giddey, then I think that Sharp, the responsibility would be for him to come up, and then Watford has to guard two players up there until someone rotates.
They just rotate up, and Nurkic would filter out to the corner guy as those two rotate up.
Yeah. So if the design is to say, if the scheme is Nurk, you have to stay in the paint and cut off the Giddey drive, then that's technically Sharp's responsibility then to go out. But on this particular play, Giddey is going to wrap a behind the back pass to Muscala, and he's got no one around him because Sharp doesn't react, and Nurkic is busy helping on there. But you can see Keon's already back in front of Giddey. He didn't need help, and unfortunately, it's just too much ground to make up for Nurkic on a three-point shooter like Muscala.
Yeah, that's the problem, is when you're constantly covering for players that can't get through screens or don't defend well enough at the point of attack, then when you have players that do, then all of a sudden you're the problem because you're overhelping. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a catch-22. That's why this team needs better on-ball defenders. That's why I wouldn't mind seeing more Keon minutes, but that's why I really want to see GP2 play.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like putting Jeremy Grant on guards, because he struggles getting through screens. I want to see Hart on guards more, because Hart is better getting through screens. Hart's had some impressive defensive moments, and just get enough good on-ball defense to where it's not a situation where guys are constantly overhelping because they just expect players to get completely screened out plays.
And if Keon can do this consistently, I think he needs to play too.
Yeah. So, play number 3, what we got?
All right, play number 3 is a possession. So, once again, we have a situation where we have Watford, Winslow, and Eubanks in the game. So, why are they not rebounding well when they have those three guys? We see that the Thunder are relatively small with Kenrick at the 4 and Poku at the 5. So Shai here is going to drive on Winslow. Winslow actually does a good job of staying in front of him. Eubanks, it seems like he's overhelping, but it's probably on Shai. It's probably a good help. And he's going to kick to the corner. In the second slide, we see that Poku is going to shoot that 3. Eubanks does a pretty good job of closing out there. Good contest. So now notice here underneath, we have Winslow standing there, and we have Hart and Watford both on Kenrick Williams here. Now, it's a little unfortunate when there's an air ball like this shot ends up being. So it's kind of hard to blame someone for not airballing. But unfortunately, it airballs, and it goes right to Kenrick Williams in between them in the next slide. And I want you to... Oh.
It just randomly switches. I don't know why it does that, but keep going.
All right. So I want you to keep an eye on one Drew Eubanks after his closeout here, okay? So in the third slide, he's standing right next to Poku, right? And what happens in the fourth slide? He turns around and starts walking down the sideline, not even in bounds, towards offense, okay? Kenrick gets the ball in between Hart and Watford, like I said, unfortunate. Kicks it out to Lou Dort in the fifth slide, right? Is looking to pass out. There's Drew still going the opposite way. His man Poku is now cutting towards the basket. Drew hasn't even reacted yet. Doesn't even bother trying to go back into the play or anything like that. What is he doing?
This is funny because when I posted those clips of Eubanks on Twitter, people were like, oh, he's a minimum backup setter. He provides great value for that. There's just certain things that you just can't do no matter how much you're making. No matter how much, like, that's inexcusable, no matter if it's a 15th guy or a star or a guy making $2 or a guy making $2 million or a guy making $2 billion. Doesn't matter. That's not good. That's not excusable.
To me, it's even worse if you're making the minimum, because you should, like, you're like fighting to stay in the league, right? Like, you should be out there giving your all every possession. And I see way too many things like this where he just gives up on a play. So what happens here? He finally realizes it. And we're talking like 4 or 5 seconds later, he finally realizes it. Dort's going to shoot a shot. Here he comes in. Oh, I better get back. Doesn't even get in that fast and has to foul Poku, who was in perfect position to get a rebound off the Dort miss. And so not only that, but he gives up an offensive rebound, the second one on the possession for Oklahoma City, and commits a foul. Like, no wonder this group can't rebound when people are playing lazy like that.
Yep. Good breakdown. I would love for somebody to show me Yusuf Nurkic doing that on a play. Not to make this, Eubanks versus Nurkic, but that's what everybody else makes it out to be, so sure. I don't know, man. Everything everybody says about Nurkic being lazy and how Eubanks is an energy big, it's almost flipped, man. Like, I feel like that proves my point. Eubanks is quicker and more athletic than Nurkic, so he seems higher energy, and Nurkic is not as athletic, not as quick, so he seems lazy because he doesn't move as fast. But I don't think I've seen Nurkic do anything like that all year. And if he did, I would love to see it, just to know, okay, that's a play where you could say Nurkic is lazy. The people saying, oh, Nurkic is lazy. Well, on that play, they actually have a case for once. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I challenge people to argue with me on Twitter. Okay, show me Yusuf Nurkic clips where he's being lazy or making 10 defensive mistakes in a game. Because, I know you hold Yusuf Nurkic to a higher standard than Drew Eubanks, for sure. He's a starting center and everything. But you cannot, from your energy guys off the bench, that's part of the reason our bench struggles, is because, like, Eubanks will do stuff like that. The first game, he had a bunch of moments like that where it's just like, what in the world are you doing? Justice Winslow can't make a shot. Like, we're over-reliant on a rookie who didn't play in college, who's 19 years old and won't turn 20 until probably after the season unless we make the finals. Right? Like, we're over-reliant on him for offense. And, the bench is just a problem.
Yeah, it's even worse if you have a chance to watch the video, how he's just like, he just turns around and starts walking up the court down the sideline. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Now, it's one thing if you close out and you stand next to the person, like on that same play, after the kick out and the second shot by Dort, Hart kind of just stands there. But he didn't like turn around and start walking down towards offense either. It's like, I don't understand what he's doing.
The problem is with Eubanks, it doesn't matter if he plays 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Half the game, he'll be good. Like, the first shift he had last night was like as well as I think he could have played. Made a couple nice passes, was on the boards, played good defense, etc. But the second half was rough. Like, he's only good for half a game. Maximum. Mm-hmm. Like, we've seen so many games where it's like, first half, he won't score, he'll miss a couple of layups, he'll have some bad hustle, like, bad energy plays, not rebound, etc. And then the second half, he'll be 5 for 5 and have 7 boards and, like, starts feeling himself. It's just weird, man. He should not be that inconsistent because it's mostly just intensity. Mm-hmm. And during he'll have that stretch in the second half where he goes 5 for 5 and plays super hard, and people will be like, oh, look at him, he's such a high energy guy. Not consistently. Sometimes he is a high energy guy. Sometimes I don't know what's going on with him. It's very weird.
Like you said, he was much better than he was the previous game last night, but still has to cut out that kind of stuff.
Yep. Anyway, let's jump into picks against the spread to end this episode of Blazers Uprise Live, presented by BetOnline. All the spreads in this segment and all the spreads that we've picked this year have been brought to you via BetOnline. You can use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for 50% rewards. Bet online where the game starts. You can get in on any of the action from today. We got 2 games, so not much, but you can get in on them and in on these spreads if you're feeling confident. But as we look at these... That's not the correct standings. I thought it would update. That's not the correct standings. Streamlabs. I will have the correct standings in 3 seconds. Well, 1 second. That was quicker than I thought. There we go. That was last week. This is now. This is now because we had 9 games to pick from with the double down. That's 10. Me and Connor. What's up, Connor? Good job, Connor. 7-3 we went on Monday. Eric, you're still doing well. 6-4, 7 games above 500. Made it tough. I was hoping to gain more games on you, but unfortunately could not. But I'll still take 7-3. I'm getting back to 500. I was like 20 games below, and I've had 3 or 4 straight above 500 days, which has been nice.
Yeah, that's all I care about is staying above 500 now. I think everything else will sort itself out. Like you guys, if you just get back up to 500, I think you'll be okay too.
Yep, and I separated from Chat. Chat went 3-7, gained 4 games on them, which is nice. Now I'm 6 games ahead of them.
Come on, Chat.
So we got you up top. We got a tier with like Jackson, me, and Connor. I might be able to move into second today. And then Chat, Trevin, Zach, Aeromancer, man, I am sorry, but that was a rough Monday, 1-9. The rookie, Aeromancer, is the only person who's new to picking games this season, and he's hitting the rookie wall on Monday, 1-9, tough. Everybody in double downs is 8-10 or 9-9, so we're all pretty even on that, except for Aeromancer, who's 6-12, unfortunately. But never too late to bring it back. We do bet last day of the season, which has 15 games, and we're not even halfway yet, so anybody still has a chance to take this thing. But Eric has been up top for a while. It's been you or Jackson all season long, correct?
Yeah, I was down towards the middle of the pack. Jackson started off really strong, and I inched my way up and overtook him. And I think he got back in first one time, but I've been in first ever since.
Yeah. After day number 1, yeah, you were 6-6. And you were a half game ahead of Jackson because he had a double down push. So it's been you two at the top of the standings like all year long. We need that to change. Let's start off with game number 1. Let me
Zach, I'll be happy to have some company from any of the bottom dwellers up at the top. I'd love to see you make a comeback.
Yep. These were supposed to update. Okay, cool. It's updated now. Updated. We got New Orleans hosting the San Antonio Spurs, and New Orleans is 8.5-point home favorites.
All right, for the Spurs, they're without Keldon Johnson and Blake Wesley. The Pelicans are without Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and Larry Nance Jr.
If you're new to picks against the spread being 8.5, New Orleans favored by 8.5 means that in order for the Pelicans to be the right pick, they have to win by 9 or more. If you pick the Spurs, you think the Pelicans will win by 8 or less, or you think the Spurs will win. That's how it works. There's the chat poll. Let me just look at something. Did anybody send you their picks by chance?
Nope.
Okay.
I have everyone's picks so far except for Connor.
All right. I'm gonna take the Spurs.
I'm also taking the Spurs. Jackson, Zach, Aeromancer, and Trevin are all going Pelicans.
Jackson's... Okay, so every mod except Connor?
Yep. Connor's going Spurs with us.
Alright, Connor, good choice. Everybody else, Pelicans. And then chat, we can vote on your double down, but chat is feeling the Pelicans as well. So that is... me, Eric, Connor on Spurs, everybody else on Pelicans.
Jackson, It didn't work out last time going against the Spurs. Surprised you did it again.
Let me update this second graphic because the spread has changed on this, and I want to have it as up to date as possible, because it is a point different. And in the end, we've seen that matter in the past. So give me a second on that, and then we'll do double downs on 2 games. Or we can pick the freaking football game tonight for the double down. Just kidding. It's like Jaguars. Who are the Jaguars playing tonight?
Jets, I think.
Ooh, that's kind of ugly. But also both those teams have been better this year than in previous years. Alright, so let's jump into game number 2. We got the Utah Jazz hosting the Washington Wizards. Utah is a 7-point home favorite.
All right, so for the Wizards, they were without Kristaps Porzingis, Denny Avdija, and DeLon Wright. And the Jazz are without Kelly Olynyk.
This is actually a tough one.
I'm going to go with the Wizards. I'm not feeling these games tonight, so I'm just going to take the points in both of them.
I'm going to take the Jazz.
Aeromancer and Jackson are also on the Jazz. Connor says Jazz.
I will at some point go through all the picks made this season and see which people trend towards picking the favorites or the underdogs, and that'll be interesting to see. I planned on doing that this year. It's just a lot of work, but at some point I'll sit down and take the time and just log all of that, and just out of curiosity for the most part.
Zach is going Wizards.
All right. Airmaster says, "Someone let them know when they ask for double downs, please."
I saw it, Airmaster. Thanks. Wait.
Okay, Pels.
Utah. Blaze the Nugs. Utah's going to put Jared Vanderbilt on their own player, Markkanen.
Trevin goes Jazz. It's an interesting strategy.
Yeah, let's see if it works out.
I love it. See, another movie reference that I know that I just set you up for. Good job. I'm getting better, or I'm just remembering the few movies I've watched. Okay, Eric and Zach with the Wizards. Everybody else with the Jazz.
Let's go, Zach.
Go and do double downs. Chat. You guys know the freaking spreads. I'm not going to type them out like I normally do. If you don't know the spreads, then just rewind the stream, I guess. It was Jazz, and who was their other pick? Pelicans?
Pelicans, yeah. -8.5 for the Pelicans, -7 for the Jazz.
I'll do the number. There you go. Double downs. There you go. There's the poll. Pelicans for Aeromancer was his pick.
Trevin and Jackson are both doubling down on the Jazz.
Pelicans for Aeromancer was his
Yep.
pick, and then Trevin and Jackson Jazz.
I'm gonna go with the Spurs for mine.
Okay.
Sorry. I thought you were. Yeah, sorry.
I have to. So how I have to do the double downs, if anybody's curious, I have like people's names on the left that I have to like open up their specific folder, double click on the like logo that's hidden, and then go into browse and go into my files, and then click the logo that I need to change it to, then hit done. And I have to do that for every. I did 2 different Jazz logos. I have to do that for every person. So that's the process. That's why it's a little slower. You took who?
Spurs. Connor and Zach, who are your double downs?
I'll take the Spurs as well, actually.
first game. So you're doubling down on the Pelicans, Zach? Just to make sure.
What's Connor's double down? Connor going Spurs.
All three of us that took the Spurs also doubled down. YH. Okay.
Are you okay, Zach? Jazz for chat. Easily Jazz. Okay, that is picks against the spread. Thursdays are always lighter than Mondays, but as we get into January and later in the season, Thursdays have more games. I think that has something to do with Thursday night football.
Mm-hmm. It definitely does.
Yeah, so once, that's gone, then you'll have more games. Next Monday, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. And next Thursday, we have 6 games. So, good amount. Good amount on both days next week. Looking forward to that. But, yeah, that is picks against the spread. Yes, Connor, we will live and die together. How romantic. Anyway, that is picks against the spread. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Anything else you want to cover in this stream?
Thank you for watching, everyone. Hope everyone has a good rest of your day and hope to see you tomorrow on the post-game show.
Yep, if you're driving in the Portland area, or honestly pretty much anywhere else in the U.S., as we are now Antarctica, be safe. All right? Be safe. Drive safe. Don't drive in freezing rain. And, it's very cold pretty much everywhere. It's like 20 degrees in Texas. It's wild out there.
I would be kind of disappointed if we don't get a huge storm tonight.
Oh, you want a huge storm tonight?
Well,
I mean, I would like a light storm because I still want to be able to get out of the house.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it can be gone by like morning tomorrow. I just want to see something happen, not like this huge buildup for nothing like usually happens.
I want to bring me a snow tornado. That's what I want.
I don't like freezing rain. I would love a snowstorm.
Freezing rain there's no fun. You can't have fun in it.
Mm-mm.
And it's dangerous to drive in. So, if you get in an accident, don't say we didn't warn you. Be safe. And all that good stuff. Anyway, we'll catch you again tomorrow on the post-game show. That'll be our last stream before Christmas. And then Monday we'll have 2 streams. We'll see if GP2 is back on Monday. That's currently what is expected. So anyway, that's a wrap for this episode of Blazers Uprise Live presented by Bet Online. We'll catch you tomorrow. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.